Hello everyone, my name is Jenna and welcome back. Today we are going to do a roughly 30-minute practice. So if you have a mat, blocks, pillows, whatever you might need to move your body comfortably, we will begin in child's pose. Coming into child's pose, your big toes will come together. Knees can go wide or stay together. Sink your hips back and bow forward. If you're feeling a little stiff in this pose, you can gently rock your forehead from side to side. Okay, just a little bit of movement. Start to set your intention for today's practice. You can choose a person, a word, a phrase, a place, something that you love that you can come back to when your mind begins to wander. If you're rocking from side to side, go ahead and come to stillness. You can walk your hands towards your lap. Go ahead and press up into a hero's pose. Just sit back on your heels. And let's just begin to bring attention to your breath. Your hands can lay comfortably wherever, your heart, your lap, the ground. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale from your mouth. We'll do that 2 more times together. And last one. If you naturally closed your eyes, go ahead and open. And then come down onto all fours. Come to your tabletop. You can tuck your toes or press into the tops of your feet. Knees are in line with your hips. Hands are underneath your shoulders. Begin your cat-cow. So on your inhale, you're going to just gently arch your spine. Lift your gaze. And as you exhale, tuck your tailbone. Bring your gaze between your legs. Just do a few rounds to your own pace. Come back to stillness. Tuck your toes, lift your tailbone up towards the sky, shift back into downward facing dog. Your upper arm bones back. It's very common to kind of squish up towards your ears, create all this tension and blockage. Try to open here. If you're feeling it in your hamstrings, go ahead and walk out your dog, bend your knees, move. Jump or step towards the top of your mat, bring your feet towards your hands. Come into halfway lift, creating length in your spine. On your exhale, fold forward. On your inhale, rise up to Tadasana Mountain Pose. Arms come up towards the sky, palms face one another. I want to start bringing some space into the side body. So as your arms are extended, I want you to kind of reach with your right arm, creating a little tiny side bend. And then do the opposite side, reach with your left. You're not moving your whole body. This is just your upper body, creating just a slight bend. Just go back and forth. Keep your pelvis neutral. It can be so easy to sometimes just pop your butt out. Try to tuck your tailbone, keeping everything in line as you move gently from side to side. Come to stillness, both arms up. And forward fold. Sink your tailbone down, take a seat, chair pose. Your arms can go wherever they help you, wherever is comfortable for you to sit. Again, this is another posture where it's easy to kind of pop your butt out. Try to tuck your tailbone, sink. It always helps me to feel. So bringing my hands to my hips helps me have that awareness of what I'm doing with my body. Three, 2, 1. Go ahead and fold forward. Halfway lift, creating length in the spine. Step back and come down onto all fours. You can tuck your toes or press into your feet. You're going to lower halfway. And just hold for just one more breath. And then come into an upward facing dog or a cow pose. And then tuck your toes if they're not already. Shift your weight back, downward facing dog. Lift your right leg, step it through to the top of your mat. Create Crescent Lunge. So you're going to keep your left heel lifted. Create that foundation before you rise. So press into the 4 corners of your right foot, the 2 corners of your left. Arms come up towards the sky. Create this pulling motion. Try not to sink. Lift. As if being pulled from the top of your head. Bring your left arm out in front of you, right arm comes behind. Bring your gaze towards the right for a revolved crescent lunge. Come back to center, arms up towards the sky. And then open for warrior 2. Plant your left heel down, shift your hips towards the left, arms are extended. Flip your right palm to face the sky, bring your forearm to your front thigh, reach with your left arm. Try to keep your arms active, not have this sinking, dumping onto the front. It's like you're lifting something heavy with your right hand, pushing away with your left. Again, if you're finding some stiffness in your neck, you are allowed to move. Shift your gaze, look down. See if that feels more comfortable. Or if you like having that dynamic movement, just go back and forth. You don't have to be stoic. Come back up into warrior two. Straighten your right leg. Bring your feet parallel. Go as wide as you need to. We're going to do a wide-legged forward fold, but before we do that, we're going to do some standing cat-cow. So bring your hands to your hips, keep a bend in your knees, and then just gently rock your pelvis back and forth. Giving just a little bit of extra love to your hips, creating this tiny back bends. We're also teaching the body to fold from the waist instead of from your upper spine. The next time you tuck your pelvis back, reach your arms up towards the sky, come into a wide-legged forward fold. And once you come down here, you can bring your hands to a block, you can bring them here, wherever you can reach comfortably. And if you find that your stance is too short or too long, wiggle yourself out until you find that nice comfy spot. Press into a halfway lift. Get creating length in the spine. Bring your hands to your hips, press into your feet, ground down, and rise all the way up. Point your left toes towards the back of your mat. Create warrior two on the other side. Flip your left palm to face the sky. Forearm comes to your thigh, reach with your right arm. And creating that lift and that opening in your chest. If you feel like you're super forward, try to see if you can open just a little bit. Come up, warrior two. Straighten your left leg, feet become parallel. Walk them in just a little wider than hip width distance. Point your feet out at a slight angle. Arms go up towards the sky. Big inhale. Exhale, come down into your yogi squat. So you can sit on the block if you need to, or you can have a slight hover. I like to use my elbows to create a little bit of movement, rocking from side to side. If you feel tense in your hips at all, it's nice to have that little bit of push to open just a little bit more. If your hands are lifted somewhere, bring them to your mat. Press into your hands and lift your tailbone all the way up. Come to a halfway lift. Bring your hands to your hips. Rise all the way up. Point your right toes towards the front of your mat. And then bring your hands down. I'm going to step back onto all fours or a high plank, whatever works for you. Lower halfway into a low plank. You can come into your upward facing dog or your cow pose. And then tuck your toes, shift your weight back, downward facing dog. And wiggle it out. And then lift your left leg, step it all the way through, create crescent lunge on the other side. So you can create that foundation, ground down before lifting all the way up. Bring your right arm out in front of you, left arm comes behind. for revolve crescent lunge. Bring your arms back to center, up towards the sky. And then bring them down to your mat. Step back onto all fours. And just wiggle your hips from side to side. Create a little snake motion in your spine. Don't go so aggressive to where you might get some crackles and pops. You want to get just to the edge. Come to stillness. You're going to reach forward as far as you can, comfortably of course, and then bow forward. You can bring your forehead to a block or to your mat. Come into your melting heart or puppy pose. And if it's in your practice, you can lift your gaze and sink your hip and sink your chest down to create a back bend. If you came into your back bend, go ahead and come back to your forehead, to your mat or block. Bring your hands towards your lap and push up, back into your seated position, your hero's pose, or just back onto your heels. Bring your right hand to your left temple and just gently lower your head towards the right side. We're not creating that force, we're not cracking anything, we're just lightly, gently pulling or guiding. I like that word better than pulling. Go ahead and release. Other side, left hand's going to come to your right temple. And then guide your left ear towards your left shoulder. Go ahead and release. Let's do little circles with your neck. Just going in one direction. And switch directions. Go ahead and come to stillness. We're going to work into the back of your neck. So we're going to do some eye movements. You can do this with your eyes open. You can do this with your eyes closed. I prefer to do it with my eyes open because the visual helps me personally. But you're going to just sit comfortably and look up towards the sky. Not with your head, just with your gaze. And then look down towards your mat. Bring your gaze to center. Now look towards the left. Back to center. Look towards the right. Back to center. And then you're going to go into the upper left corner. Go diagonally to the lower right corner. Upper right corner. To the lower left corner. And then bring your gaze back to center, back out in front of you. Now what that does is it kind of detangles all this tension in the back. So if you're prone to headaches or migraines, that's an exercise that I personally do all of the time when I feel that tension kind of building up. So it kind of detangles everything and works into your ocular nerves. So it's always a nice little exercise to do if you're feeling a little uncomfortable in that area. Bring your arms up towards the sky. Left hand comes down to your mat. Right arm is going to come up and over. Create some space in between your ribs. Go ahead and come back up. Arms up towards the sky. Right arm comes down, the left comes over. And then come back to center. Go ahead and swing your legs out in front of you. Find your way to your back. And hug your knees into your chest. And stretch your legs nice and long. Arms come down to your sides. I invite you to take up space here. Just separating your legs just a little bit wider. Your arms might come a little bit wider. Like a little starfish of sorts. And allow your body to sink deep into your mat. Come into Shavasana. I invite you to stay here for as long as you feel comfortable. And for the sake of our time together today, bring a little bit of movement into your body. And hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug for showing up today. Lower down to one side, come into your sleepy baby. And then however you need to get there, come up into a seated position. We will end our practice today with the sound of breath. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale from your mouth. Bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your mat. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a beautiful rest of your day.